We got Gunner games for women now. We got it for the ladies. Hey, Melanie Mac. Melanie, check this game out. Look, it's got husbandos. Husbandos. It's made from China. Extremely popular with the ladies. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see like at least five Twitter takes where we condemn this, right? Because it's absolutely horrible. And look, you can even pet the husbando. Like, look at this absolute peak degeneracy. The interesting thing is that there's another game. Maybe it's actually this one because I don't know the names. But there is like one of these gacha games that are targeting the female audience. And it actually outsells all the other gacha games in the industry. Now, the reason that I speculate on why this is that the marketplace is very diluted for, games like DK and Stellar Blade and stuff like that. Like, there's too many of them. While the ones that target the ladies happen to be one or two, and so, like, all the ladies gravitate to that. But yeah, I did see a couple of pictures with the husbandos being shirtless. There was like one where the husbando is at a hot spring, and again, I think like the character that you play as is the actual lady, right? So you get to see her hands and stuff. But you're supposed to interact with these gentlemen. Now, the interesting thing about it is that there doesn't seem to be absolutely any social stigma whatsoever, right? Like, no one is looking at the art style and saying, oh my god, he looks but a child. Because, like, some of these characters look like they're 17, like, I don't know, in lore. But you're looking at them, they're very young looking, extremely concerning. I would expect, like, Twitter to be up in arms over this. It's like, why are you putting these 17-year-old in these weird situations? There's no, talk about morality. Like, why don't you go outside, lady? Why don't you go outside and meet a real man? Like, you need to go out and meet a real man and have a marriage and have children to save the Western civilization. Instead, you sit there in your basement, gooning, oh. So, these games also happen to be from China, right? And their data is being harvested. Like China is now the combine, like harvesting the data from our ladies. And some of these games even have a period tracker. Like, my god, look at this baby face. There's not an ounce of facial hair on him. Like, what? He looks like 12. Looks like 12. This is what Twitter would say if the shoe was on the other foot. If the situation was reversed, like, all of a sudden, we would witness extreme concerning. But I think, like, they're concerned with the other fictional video games right now. And so this one, which, again, is rated 12... I'm pretty sure that if the situation was on the other foot, it would be at least rated 17 or 18. You know, like, you'd have people on Twitter saying that, no, this should be rated 45. Like, if you're 44, you're too young to play this. It needs to be at least a 45. And look at the level of degeneracy. Like, your period is coming soon. Do you have enough supply, right? Like, creating this unrealistic expectation of men. Like, what type of man in real life is actually concerned with the period of his significant others and just carries the supply with him in order to present them when the need arises, right? Absolutely fascinating, right? Like, I'm trying to delve deep into the morality, to have, like, some understanding into the moral compass of Twitter, and it's interesting. Like, sometimes it's one way, other times it's not. I think I can have a grift here. I think that if I actually understand and unlock how Twitter morality works, I can open a university and then train people and give them PhDs. And they give me money in return and I make them sit into crippling student debt. Or maybe I can just open another branch of Christianity, right? Like, that's allowed. Like, I can start a new denomination of Christianity. And then I can preach the message of Jesus and how he feels about gacha games. Like, you can start rating gacha games based on what Jesus would play. I can steal Melanie Max's shtick. I'm basically like her. I don't have the makeup, but I do have the charisma, right? Anyway, this is actually a new industry that I think it's starting. And it's basically not because of Matt Walsh attacking anime. Like, Matt Walsh seems to lack
the wisdom and understanding of what's going on. It's just that the Western companies are not producing entertainment anymore, right? Mass Effect 2 actually made a character that was very popular with the women that like to goon. It was that assassin guy. I forgot his name. He was like an alien creature, very ugly, but like he was charismatic. He was very masculine, very stoic. And so a lot of female characters really gravitated towards that male character. So like the West used to create entertainment, which basically like this is the romance novels, right? That would appeal to men and women. And since the West decided to sabotage itself with DEI and decided to not produce entertainment and instead produce the type of thing that Matt Walsh specializes in, which is morality, right? Like trying to moralize you on how to be a decent person, catening basically. Their entertainment went to shit, and now you have Asia swooping in. And they're going to provide. I mean, this is a game coming from China, right? Like when you think about gacha games, you usually think about South Korea, you usually think about Japan. You wouldn't think about China, but like again, they're noticing that there is a spot in the market. And so like they're going to fill it, and apparently the type of games that are catering to young women are very popular, right? Like they're making these characters that look like K-pop singers, very effeminate men, but they also look very healthy, right? Like none of them is fat, none of them is with skin disease, with cellulitis, with vitiligo, with deformities. No, like they seem to be the type of men that have like a specific aesthetic, but they're also very healthy looking. And they're focusing on the romance aspect. Again, like I saw one where it was completely naked. He was at a hot spring. You can see his ass cheeks, but he is sitting down, so you can't see more than that. And the woman comes from behind and tries to pet him and stuff like that. It's, certain things that I would not dare to show on YouTube. But these games contain those aspects. And the moral outrage seems to be missing. Again, it's fascinating how that works, right? Because the moral argument, as I understand it from Sitter, is that the reason society is collapsing, right? Like the reason no one is going to pay welfare for the Karens and the people that are outraged is because everyone is sitting at home and they're playing Gunner games, right? So like the men, they're surrounded by a tsunami of pussy, like women are calling them 24/7, but they're not available because they're playing Nikki. My opinion is that no, like the bottleneck for relationships are women. Like women have extremely high standards if we're going by the statistics provided by the dating apps. Like almost all the women go for the top 5% of the men. And so like the men who are feeling left out and they're feeling depressed about it, they resort to playing video games. But now this is actually, if this is your mindset, if you're thinking that Western civilization is collapsing because the Chinese are beating us on the phone games, then you would be very concerned when women are now attracted, right? Like it's one thing for the men to be attracted because they're not the bottleneck. Like they're not the ones that are stopping society from multiplying exponentially. No, it's like the women that decide whether or not a relationship happens. And now the women apparently are gooning. Very concerning. Horrible. I know. All in all, I expect more of these games to come out. Because there is definitely a market there, and it seems that there's two possibilities. Number one, women are bigger whales than men. And whale is a term that applies to gacha games. It's a person that spends a lot. Right, so like a person that would spend $500 a month on a game, that's a whale. And usually these gacha games, most of the people that play them for free. So like 90% of the people, turns out that they actually play the game for free or they spend very little. And then you have like the 10% of the whales that are the ones that are actually driving the industry. And so it is a possibility that either the number of women that are playing these games is much higher than the number of people that play Nikkei, or the number is the same or even smaller, but the whales are either larger or more in number. Like maybe women are more likely to spend money on this stuff. I don't know. I think it's interesting. Maybe if women start doing it, then we're going to get the Karens off our ass, right? Maybe then we're going to finally be allowed to just Go back to the 90s, where no one gives a shit about the video game that you're playing, or at least the ones that do are the boomers, the people from outside, not the Matt Walshes that still look too young to have the Karen mentality in their brain. Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.